Evening, and thank you for joining us at Text Messages The Resurrection. You're listening to the voice of the show, Rick Tex, who happens to be the parasite of the show as well. And you, the ladies and gentlemen at home, are the hosts of the show. We're glad to be broadcasting on this Thursday evening, February 14th, 2019, Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day to everybody listening. We did do a comedy-themed Valentine's Day show probably about a week ago. So if that is something you're interested in, then you can certainly check it out. But we obviously didn't. Basically, the only comedy show that we've ever done here was obviously not top notch or next level or anything like that. It's just, it is what it is. Either you like it or you won't. Or you'll think it's a complete disaster of epic proportions. But you know, sometimes something can be so atrociously bad that it's actually good. And when we initially set out on this voyage of making text messages, the idea was kind of to make it so bad that it is good. But after you have about 20 episodes in a row with 0 views, it kind of makes you reevaluate that thought process and to step back and then realize that maybe it is a good idea to at least put some foundation of quality into it. Because see, the idea was, you know, we'll have the green screen, then we'll have the horrible sound, and then the video that is not always consistent. So I thought that it would look so amateurish that it would be good. But I figured out that having poor sound quality, it's rather piercing to your ears, you know, it makes them bleed and all that. And having poor video quality and having a green screen that does nothing sort of teases the viewers and you, the ladies and gentlemen at home. And it's a bit disrespectful. So we decided that that was not the route we're going to take the show, and we're just going to go ahead and try to actually put quality and effort into it. So the whole amateurish thing, yeah, it's funny and cute, and on paper it looks good, but in practice, it does not work out. It's not something that we'd advocate for if you're interested in starting your own talk show from home, for whomever may be interested in that type of endeavor, which I would highly recommend. Now, what we wanted to talk about today is fruit juices. Now, what fruit juice is they take, you know, any array of fruits: oranges, pears, pineapples, apples, peaches, cucumbers, cauliflowers, carrots, bananas, and then they just basically remove the sugars and add water to them. That's essentially what fruit juice is. So there's basically nothing nutritional about it. Yeah, it might say vitamin C or something like that, or niacin on the package, but by and large, it's just a big deluge of sugar, and it's more or less just sugar water. I mean, yeah, is it a little healthier than Gatorade or Powerade? It probably is. I mean, Gatorade or Powerade, they all claim to have electrolytes, which is basically just potassium and sodium and maybe some chloride and possibly magnesium. Those help with muscle contractions, and they consider them to be electrolytes. But if you actually drink legitimate fruit juice, what you would have to do is you have to buy something like a lemon or a lime or an orange and cut it up and extract the juices directly out of it, or a coconut, and knock it open and take the juice out of it. That's basically the only way you're going to get legitimate fruit juice. Otherwise, it's just completely adulterated and filled with water. And not only that, we actually saw some studies. This is Consumer Reports, which is a fairly mainstream, not really a news organization, but it's a consumer advocacy or consumer awareness organization. But they probably are paid off by a lot of companies to cover up stuff or to prominently display other things. But with that being said, I mean, we don't know that with absolute unequivocal facts, but it just seems like to run a company commercially in America as a corporation, that's what a lot of companies do. Consumer Reports, it might actually be, it probably is a private enterprise, but who knows? You know, we probably will look into that someday, ladies and gentlemen. But getting back to the main topic here. So Consumer Reports tested 45 fruit juices for cadmium, inorganic arsenic, lead, and mercury, all dangerous metals. You know, they'll accumulate in your liver, your kidneys, they'll get in your blood, they'll scratch up and scar up your bloodstream. Then your liver will produce a cholesterol, it'll try to patch up the blood vessels, and then you'll get cholesterol buildup, and then doctors will say it's bad because it has high cholesterol, but in all reality, they're just trying to cure the ailments in your blood vessels. So what they found is that their elevated levels found in almost half of these fruit juices tested. A lot of these metals, they can be They're linked to lower IQ, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, all types of cancers, type 2 diabetes, kidney disease. As we talked about before, the kidney disease, they got the nephronins, which filter out all the garbage. So if you're putting heavy metals into it, which is a very abrasive material, it's going to wreck a lot of those filters, and then the kidney will no longer be able to filter out. It'll lose its filtering function, like throwing sand in an air filter, as we've alluded to before. But these heavy metals are also attributed to high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, which is disease of the heart, and bone damage as well. So, a while back, I was buying this stuff called V Fusion. It was very cheap at Target. Well, it wasn't very cheap, but it was the cheapest I could find. It was at Target. You know, there are other options out there: Walmart, Cub Foods, Rainbow Foods, Big Joe, Rosso's. But the fact of the matter is, Target had it for the cheapest. And when they would have a sale, I would stock up like 20 of them, and I just drink them all day at work or something like that, instead of just coffee or regular water or hot chocolate or hot tea or black tea, green tea. And what I found out is, this is back when I was getting 6-month dental exams, and then they took the little x-rays of my teeth, and between the teeth, there was sort of thinning a little bit. Like the gaps between the teeth were getting larger because the enamel was wearing away. I mean, the hygienist there, I looked at that and I was thinking, that looks a little ominous. That's something that you certainly don't want to see. They're like, yeah, you're probably drinking too many fruit juices. And I thought about it for a little bit, and it was like, you are absolutely correct, because you basically suck on them all day. And in fact, there's even one time, this is about the time that I stopped drinking the V Fusion altogether and just dumped out all the remaining bottles I had. But there was probably about a week and 3 days where I just had straight diarrhea. I mean, I was setting all kinds of records. Most consecutive diarrheas within a 2-hour time period. Most consecutive days of diarrhea. Just you name it, and it was setting new records in that week and 3 days. And it was very, very frustrating too, because I was substituting foods, I was removing foods, and doing all of this and that and the other thing with any types of food I could think of, and any type of environmental exposure I was getting involved with, or whatever. So what I found out eventually is that the last thing I did was I stopped drinking the V Fusion, and almost within a day completely eradicated the problem. So that led me to confirm with probably about 95% certainty that it was the V Fusion causing it. Now, what happens is, when you leave it in room temperature because I would just take the whole bottle and bring it to work, and then just suck on that for 8 hours or whatever. So when the whole bottle sits at room temperature, then you get all the bad bacteria that grow in it. Then when I was consuming all the bad bacteria, because the bacteria feeds on sugar, and the fruit juice is basically just all sugar, and probably some preservatives and fillers, and obviously heavy metals, as Consumer Reports found out. So when you let it sit at room temperature, the bacteria builds up, and then you drink the bacteria, and then it fights your system, and it wreaks havoc on your digestive tract. So that's essentially what happened, and ever since then, I just stopped drinking the fruit juice altogether. Because when fruit is consumed in its natural state, it has a good ratio of fiber to sugars, to some even have fat, and then it has a lot of pretty decent vitamin, and if it's grown in healthy soils, it has a good amount of minerals too. So that's why it's a good idea to get any type of fruit from the actual physical fruit, not the juice. You know, the solid fruit is the best source. Any fruit juice is basically just sugar, water, and it's garbage, and it's even filled with cadmium, lead, arsenic, and mercury. So now, not only can you get those heavy metals from the fruit juices, but some of the other sources of exposure include rice, protein powders, some types of fish, and sweet potatoes that are grown inside poisonous soil as well. And orange juice actually was found to have glyphosates in it too, 14 parts per billion, which is above the safety limit of 10 parts per billion. So you certainly got to deal with that too. And just eating oranges in general that I sprayed with glyphosates, you're probably going to have that problem, because the glyphosates will get inside. It'll go through the peel and get into the actual fruit of the plant. Just something to look out for, ladies and gentlemen. But the fact of the matter is, fruit juice, here at Text Messages, The Resurrection, we basically would condone the consumption of any types of fruit juice. It's not healthy. It's not good for you. It's not going to make you great again. gonna rot out your teeth. It's gonna rot out your organs. It's gonna spike your blood sugar. It's gonna cause high blood pressure, kidney disease, cardiovascular disease, bone damage, cancers of all variations, and probably lower your IQ too. Now, with that being said, we thank you for joining us this evening. We hope you will join us for the second show, and thank you very much.